Well, hi, Jenna.
Well, hi, Shelby. Welcome back. This is part 2 of A Court of Silver Flames. Part 1 is already out. If you haven't already listened to that, we highly recommend you start there. So we're going to pick up right where we left off.
Perfect.
Just as a reminder, this is spoilers for all of the SJM universe. So that means Throne of Glass, Crescent City, and all of the ACOTAR series. So if you have not read those yet, make sure you read those before you come back and listen to this.
Perfect. And as always, give us a follow. Keep up with all of our ACOTAR SJM rereads for now. And give us a review because it really helps us gain some traction on the different podcast apps.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Well, with that, let's take it away.
Awesome. The fourth object.
I was going to talk about that. Yeah. So, because fairly early in the book, they talk about how people say there used to be 4 items in the dead trove, but one is gone. Or one is missing or whatever.
Yeah.
Or they don't know that it actually was there. Do you think it's Luna's horn that Bryce has is the 4th dead trove?
You know, I've seen that and I'm so excited because we started Crescent City, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like going to keep a special eye on how they talk about it. I could see that being a possibility for sure.
Yeah, I definitely could see that.
Yeah.
I'm also... Well, okay, maybe we'll stay on the dead trove for a second before I get distracted. So yes, we have the mask, which can raise the dead. And I always am going to assume it's word marks. So they talk about any type of writing on it.
Me too. Every single time.
And I thought it was interesting that Amryn talks about how no one has ever been able to remove it. They've had to cut off their head.
Yes.
So I want to know more about who tried to wear it in the past and when.
Oh, I haven't thought about that.
Right? Like someone was wearing it.
And couldn't take it off. And
right. So there are stories of that. So I kind of want to know about that. And I wonder if it's back when Koshi, is that how you say his name? Or
the Audible was saying Koschei.
Koschei?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I always say it in my head as Koshi.
Yeah, well, we're gonna say it as Koshi. Yes. Sorry if that's incorrect, friends. But I don't know. So it made me think that some of the stuff might have been happening way back then. But so we've got the mask.
Yep.
Which raises the dead. We've got the harp, which is marked as can do a lot of different things. Apparently, we've got
each string that you pull
has like maybe more power, sort of.
Yep.
And so she can use one of them to move just like a few steps.
Yep.
It's also talked as being a door between worlds. So
yep.
But it's also what she uses to save Farah is pulling the 26th string there.
Because it was time.
Yeah.
The last string was time.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very interesting that it has 26 strings. And they also talk about that there are 26 worlds.
Yeah, 26 dimensions or whatever.
Yes.
I know. So that was definitely really interesting too. So I want to see how that's going to come in to the next Crescent City book. And then the final one was the crown, which influences people and nature.
Yes.
Not just people, which I didn't remember that part of it.
I didn't either. And I think that really ties into what we've been talking about how all of these like trees and the mountains and the wind. The whisper, And so, it's going to be really interesting to see again, like how these are put into play.
Yeah, I'm going to be really curious as we watch or as we read Crescent City to see if we think Luna's Horn is another dead trove.
Yeah, I think that would be super interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and then Rhys had made a comment that not even Amryn knows where it is or what it is. But on page 225, Amryn clearly goes, well, one was unmade. So she clearly knows that there is a 4th. She just... I thought it was interesting that Rhys thought one thing, and then Amryn comes out, and she's like, oh, no, there was a 4th. It was unmade.
Yeah. But she didn't even really, like, remember very much about it at first.
Right.
So I don't know where she's getting that knowledge from. Which, speaking of that, how did Az know about them in the first place? Because... remember right towards the beginning, he's the one who like talks about the dead trove. Let me go this at 2:30. Flip to it. That because when they're talking about like looking for the trove because the queen, the human queen is looking for it or whatever. And Amryn is like not even really remembering anything about it, but I guess are we supposed to assume that Az knows just because he's been spying on the human queen? But like how did he remember these details about the objects that wanted everybody to forget? because
that's interesting.
yeah, because so this is like most of the way down on 230. And it goes, if they're all enchanting you to forget, how is it that Azrael was able to remember and bear information here? And then they're like, oh, well, maybe once you learn it and then the spell's broken, and they just kind of move on.
But then they don't remember the fourth object.
Right. I don't know. So that was
gosh.
interesting for sure.
Well, okay, so say he does know, say he did know about the objects. Why didn't he bring it up sooner?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Azrael's going to be the traitor.
Are you just determined there's going to be a true traitor?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Once my mind was on that train, it won't go anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Interesting.
Just very, very interesting. Speaking of objects, the other sword imbued with power. I don't remember the name of it right now, and I don't know that I actually wrote it down in my notes here. The one from like long time ago that they said was thrown in the sea is what they think. Mm-hmm. They're like, it's gone. It's the one that
Lanthus.
Yes.
Yep.
The one that the creature in the prison is like, oh, it's not that sword.
Narbin.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
And I'm kind of curious to see if that sword is going to be significant again, or if like that's the star sword or something from Crescent City, or like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It was brought up enough as being a significant enough weapon that it makes me feel like it was not destroyed and it exists somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And it was clearly close enough to Nesta's power.
Yeah. Well, and when Aramorn is talking about Rhys becoming High King or whatever, and she's like, oh, you could use that sword that Nesta made and the combination of your power and that sword, like you could do whatever you wanted. Well, what if somebody else finds that other sword? Narbin, is that what it was? Yeah.
Yes.
What if somebody else finds that? And now with that, they're higher in power than Farah and Rhys are.
Oh my gosh. Who do you think could do that? Eris?
Autumn
Azrael?
King? Or maybe even just like Eris's dad, maybe just Baron, but
Ew.
But I don't know. I mean, that is kind of who they're fighting against right now, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're right. That is basically who they're fighting against.
So I think that sword is going to come back out again.
Mm-hmm. Especially because Baron was very closely working with the queens.
Human Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, other 5 human queens. What do you think they're going to be doing now that the one is gone?
Yeah, they just ran away.
Well, I mean, they were being controlled, I thought, by the crown.
Well, so what I thought had happened was they noticed that the crone started using power, and so they tried to get away from it. And they went somewhere else.
Oh,
That's why they weren't at the castle with her anymore. Okay. But yeah, I'll be very interested to see what
they do now.
Mm-hmm. Like, they weren't brought up again in this book. So
yeah, but like they're still out there. They're still alive. The other 5 are still alive.
And upset.
Or 4 are still alive. 4 are still alive.
Vasa,
yeah, one of them died.
And the crone is gone. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Do you remember Cassian talking about before there were Fae? Mm-hmm. And there was a couple of different times it was talked about. So they talked about the first gods, and we had talked about this in a previous episode.
Yep.
And how they were kind of like maybe they're sleeping under the earth, or maybe they are the trees, or maybe there's something else. Mm-hmm. And then there was also another point where, oh gosh, where was it? They were talking about what was there before the Fae were there. And I think it was Rhys talking about it. And they were talking about how they would suck the magic from humans and Fae. And that connects us to
the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to wait on that part. I feel like until we talk about Crescent City for sure. But I did notice there was a lot more casual conversation that Cassian said about, I don't know, not even just Cassian, kind of everybody from before the time that they were Fae.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of mentions of that, like the music that they sing, that all the priestesses sing in the library. They're talking about how that is more than 15,000 years old and predates written language. And there's they talk again about an 8th court that comes up again in this one. And I don't know, there was a lot of
talk about what was before.
Yeah. And Koshi, or Coachy.
Yeah.
Coach. What did you say that
It
the
said
Audible was saying?
Coach-che.
Coach-che. Okay. They were talking about predating the courts for him too, that he tried to make himself master long ago. And like that he tried to rape, and that's how he ended up in the lake and trapped to the lake. And we know that at some point back in time, the Weaver and the Bone Carver kind of try to separate themselves from him too. So it makes you wonder what he was doing, or maybe if that it made me wonder if maybe he's related to the harp and the people getting stuck in stone.
Yes.
We haven't even talked about that yet.
Oh my gosh, we haven't.
Yeah. So when Nesta is looking for the harp and she sees it in a vision as she's listening to the music that predates, that predates written language or whatever. It's already kind of
an accidental scrying.
Yeah. And she sees that the harp is in the prison, in the building that was the prison, in a room that people didn't know existed.
Right.
And when she goes to get it, she feels this like memory and like presence. Yeah. That like something really bad happened with the harp. And the way it's said is kind of like, oh, it feels like there's people in the stone or something.
Like trapped.
Yeah. But I also wondered if maybe that was how the Dusk Court ended up in Crescent City. Like if maybe that was the bad thing that happened, is that they like shoved all the people off
into
of
like a new world.
Prithian into a new world or something. Like I didn't know if, so that was the other thing that I thought maybe would fit with that a little bit.
Interesting. I didn't even connect that.
Just a thought.
I know. Well, that would especially make sense too, because as we know from the asteroid, spoiler if you haven't read Crescent City, from Crescent City with the asteroid, they have moved from world to world to world, trying to suck all this power out. Yeah. And so if they had somebody actually fight back and win, now they just transport it out to another one. Yeah. Because wasn't it Amryn said that, was it the language of the people trapped in the stone? She goes, I haven't heard that language in a long time. Yeah.
It was, again, everything keeps circling back to this 15,000 years, which is when, and I think we got to read Crescent City again to get there, but I think that's when they say in Crescent City, the Fae came to that world. And so that's why that time I keep paying attention to, because every time they keep talking about that 15,000 years, I'm pretty sure that that's when they came over. So
that's going to be a really good thing to pay attention to, especially in this first 200 pages.
Yeah, so that's my thoughts about the harp and maybe what was done there. But it made me wonder if Koshi or Kosh, I can't pronounce anything. It's fine. You can just say it makes me wonder if when he tried Rise Up before, if it was all related to that or completely unrelated or just I don't know. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I know. I hope we learn more about that. That talking about like the research that people are doing about like all the history and everything. I did not catch last time that Meryl has been doing all this research since she came to the library, and she's looking at different realms, different worlds, and the wind whispers to her.
Yes.
What?
I noticed all that too. And the fact that when I don't remember if it's Clotho or someone else is kind of like justifying why they're pushing Gwyn so hard. She's like, oh, well, it's just because of the pressing matter of the work that she's researching. What's so pressing about learning about different worlds and the Valkyries, I guess, because we know she's writing that book on the Valkyries too. But what is so pressing about this different
especially
worlds?
Because of where they're doing the research. Yeah. And they talked about it a couple times, the 7th level of the library.
Yes.
And how both Gwyn and Emery were terrified of it. And Emery said, I hear my dad talking to me. And Gwyn says, it feels like a cat that's watching me.
Didn't it all seem convenient that there's 7 layers of the library and 7
layers of hell?
Yes.
Yep. And now they're doing all this pressing research on other worlds.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And somebody had even said that it feels like a gate of hell. And they just said it in passing conversation. Nobody thought twice.
Yep.
What?
And just there's like a lot about like different presences watching them and stuff too.
And it made me think too that Rhys spends a lot of time in the library and he's very close with all of the priestesses. So
Back on the Rhys is bad train.
yep.
Yep.
Or he's a prince of hell.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, kind of on the world's front. I thought it was cool. They mentioned extremely early in the book. It's page like 37. That, and this is like maybe me reading too far into it, but when Cassian is going into Rhys's desk and he notices a massive working model of their world, the stars and planets around it, and some other fancy things that had been explained to Cassian once before he deemed them boring and proceeded to ignore them completely. Kind of makes me wonder like what else those things are.
Yeah.
Because I also feel like I remember there being a model like that in the Autumn King's office in Crescent City.
Oh, again,
because I kind of remember Rune having a similar reaction to it. So I want to pay. So I'm like pointing that out because I want to pay attention to that when we read it in Crescent City.
Forefront. Yeah.
Yeah. Of just, I don't know if maybe these are people that are aware of the realms, maybe because I don't know. Like I wonder what else that model is looking at.
Yeah.
Or
what else is on that map or whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, we have talked about previously that there are some points where Rhys just kind of disappears and who knows where he's at. He does spend a lot of time in the library. Maybe he's going to check out these other worlds.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, goodness. Oh. Did you catch the fact on 350 that Rhys was born without wings?
Oh, I guess he just shapeshifts?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because he has like a high... Because all the High Lords have a like alternate form, right?
Yes.
Or no, because he's half Illyrian, so he can summon them. Is that what it is?
Well, so they're talking about... Let me find... Okay, so it wasn't on 350. I just couldn't read my handwriting.
That happens.
It was on 330.
Okay.
And it's when Rhys was just like super anxiety about the baby. And Rhys looks at Cassian and goes, the baby has wings. Joy sparked through Cassian, even as the broken whisper and what those words meant made his blood go cold. Are you sure? And Rhys says, we had an appointment with Maja yesterday, and Cassian goes, but he's only a quarter Illyrian. It was possible, of course, for the baby to have inherited wings, but unlikely given the fact that Rhysand himself had been born without them and only conjured them through whatever strange, unearthly magic he possessed.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
I had to read it twice. I was like, hold up.
Whoa.
Uh-huh.
Unearthly magic.
Strange, unearthly magic.
Whoa.
What?
I didn't really catch that, I guess. I don't know where I thought he was summoning wings from, but...
Me neither. I thought he just had them. Which makes sense why he so easily can put them away.
Yeah, I guess.
But also, where are you getting this magic?
Oh.
And I think Amren knows what kind of magic that he has because she makes these little comments about like him using the sword and being High King. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Is he not from that world?
Oh.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but we know like details about when he was born and his childhood and stuff, so... But maybe his family or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because his mom is Illyrian. And in here, Cassian says he's only a quarter Illyrian. And so is his mom only half
Illyrian? I guess she must have been.
And we don't know that much about his dad.
Well, he was High King before.
Or
not High
Lord.
King, sorry. He was High Lord before Rhys was. That's really all we know. And we know that... his mom and dad didn't really spend very much time together, even after they mated.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. Another thing that I thought was interesting that didn't stick out to me as much last time, Helion is so much more affected by the items of the dead trove than the people of the night court. Like when they have the mask, I guess it must be in the room, and he's
oh my god,
super bothered by it, and everybody else is like,
yeah, I guess I can feel it.
That was weird to me.
That was really weird.
I didn't understand why it would affect night court less than everybody else.
Yeah, or maybe Helion just specifically more.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I would even, at this point especially, I wouldn't really consider Nesta like part of the night court. But yeah, because she had no issues with it, nothing, and he was really perturbed by it.
Like it just being in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really interesting too.
I did too.
Know, that their reaction was so different.
Yep. Like when these items were made, was Helion around? Was he part of that? I don't know, because they have these like incredible spells, and he's kind of like the spell master and the spell cleaver. Mm-hmm. But he even he teaches Rhys how to have a spell so that they can mask
weave protections.
Mm-hmm. So it makes me question what else is going on with Helion.
Yeah, I know.
Because we also kind of see with Lucian that Lucian has he always knows a little bit more what's going on than other people in the room.
Does he?
That's how I feel, because the way that they've kind of described, and maybe not necessarily in this book because we don't see him very much, but I think it was Frost and Starlight, Nesta was talking to him, and he kind of looked at her and questioned her. And I got the sense that he knows more than people let on.
That he's just particularly observant. Kind of like Elaine.
Exactly. Which could make sense. A seer and a seer.
Yeah. I also am so curious what Jurian and Vasa and Lucian have been up to.
Yeah.
Over there. Right? Yeah. Like they've been separate from the inner circle for pretty much the whole book. I don't know.
And at this point, wasn't it 18 months?
It's a long time.
Yeah.
And we know that they're kind of bonding and kind of bickering and, whatever over there. But we don't really know anything else because Nesta's obviously not involved in it. And so since it's from her point of view, we aren't seeing it. But it kind of makes me wonder what they're up to because they're completely separate, but I think they're still players. They still have a lot of influence. And what is Jurian now anyways?
That was questioned in this book, who or what is he now? And Nesta makes that because she was also made. So Jurian was also made. Were they also looking for the Dread Trove? Or...
Well, but weren't they... They're allies, even if soft allies with Night Court kind of through Lucian, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't think that they would have necessarily been separately looking for the dead trove. But, I don't know. Yeah. But there's just funny things going on. And I didn't remember that the whole Koshi thing was unresolved in this book. For some reason, I had a memory of
him dying or something.
He's definitely not dead. He's definitely still 100% a player. That's another thing just in general about this book. Kind of forgot that from a plot perspective, besides doing the blood rite, not very much happens.
Yeah, it was basically all just about Nesta and her transformation, and we get little tidbits of things that are happening, but things are left unresolved.
Yeah, but everything with him is unresolved and Vasa is still tied to the lake with him, with him as a master, and he's got all this power, and he's been the one. All we find out is that he was scheming behind the old queen or the crone or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, so that's literally where this book left off. It's just actually it was him who was controlling her even. And now he's still trying to escape the lake. So that was
now it's
crazy.
going to be crazy. It kind of makes me think that it's going to be we're going to see the same situations happening from multiple points of view, and we won't get a resolution for at least the next couple of books.
Oh, that would make me really mad. I'm not going to lie.
That would make me really mad too. Well, and then I'm also curious on the next Crescent City. What is going to be that plot point since we have new characters and yeah.
So speaking of the blood rite, let's talk about the blood rite.
I thought it was longer.
I felt like I didn't remember it being so close to the end of the book, And it actually was like fairly quick.
Yes, I thought it was going to be way more
Substantial. Yeah, I remembered it. Maybe because it's like the only plot thing that happens. And so
For real.
I like kept waiting, and I'm in the last like 150 pages of the book with like a fat book,
Yes.
right? Like, where is this? I'm like, I know this happens somewhere. So that was funny to me. But yeah, there's like a lot of more information about questions about the blood right, I think, that comes up, or the mountain in general.
Yes.
And like during this book. And I don't know, like why it is that Illyrians have magic only on that one night, right?
I thought
like
that
nobody
was super
knows.
strange.
Nobody knows that. Why were they protecting the monolith at the top of Ramiel?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
So,
Or they even said that, didn't they say that there was a city underneath it?
well, so it was compared. They were saying that it was convenient that there's 3 mountains that are similar: the prison, the library, or the house of wind and the library, that mountain, and Ramiel, and that 2 of them would have structures underneath, right? They're like, well, just Ramiel, and everybody's like, oh, I don't know. I don't think anybody's ever looked.
I wonder if anybody has actually looked and they know and they sealed it up.
Yeah, like, so we already know that the monolith physically moves people, like, because at the end of the blood rite, that's like a way
That's
to
like how you
escape,
get out of
right?
it.
So I wonder if that's a way that maybe we are connecting between worlds is through that monolith. If maybe that's one of the like portals, basically, and that's why they were defending it too, was trying to keep people from leaving or coming. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. And it's on top of a mountain that hasn't been explored.
Yeah.
And everybody said it was such a sacred mountain. And Nesta even goes, why is it so sacred? Like,
yeah, so that just seemed convenient, I don't know.
Interesting. So I know there's been theories going around, like there's 3 sisters, there's 3 mountains. And Feyre conquered under the mountain. Is that what it would be?
Yeah, I guess.
And Nesta conquered Ramiel. But I don't actually think she did if there's so much more underneath it that we don't know about.
Yeah, well, we don't know if there's anything under there, but I think because it was brought up as a question, it makes me think it's going to come back.
Yeah.
To see if there's more to the mountain than people are aware of.
And do we think Elaine would be the 3rd conqueror of the prison? Or
no idea.
Yeah, me neither.
That's a good question. Definitely a good question.
It'd be interesting for sure. Because under the mountain wasn't even the first mountain.
Yeah,
it was modeled after the Night Court.
Yeah, but the mountain was already there. I don't remember which the 3 mountains are. I guess I thought it was the prison and the House of Wind, and
that's what I thought it was too.
Ramiel. But I feel like I might be misremembering that.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too, so I'm going to pull it up. But they were talking about, there's 3 of them, sister peaks. This one, the mountain called the Prison, and they won the Illyrian Brutes called Ramiel, all bald, barren mountains at odds with those around them. And, it was the mountain under which Feyre, Rhys, and all the other High Lords were trapped by Amarantha. So it is under the one that had under the mountain under it, the prison, and then Ramiel.
So it's not the House of Wind and the library one. That's what we were mixing up.
Yep, because I thought that was what it was too.
It's a lot going on. Yep.
There really is.
Also, there were so many comments about Ramiel being like watchful and awake and sentient in general, which definitely stuck out to me.
I know. I loved the part during the blood rite when Nesta decided to stand up for her friends, and she was sacrificing herself so that her friends could get away. And I just felt that was a huge turning point for her character. I thought it was very precious.
Yeah, to just like actually care so much about other people and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think they woke early? Do you think it was just because they weren't Illyrian?
Oh, I don't know. I definitely questioned it, because did Emery awake early, or did she?
I don't think she did. So I guess it must have been because she Because at first Nesta is like, oh, maybe it's because I was made that I woke early, but then that wasn't it, because also Gwen, and then she's like, oh, well, maybe it's just because we weren't Illyrian. I don't know if that was interesting too.
I wonder if there's something else at play there.
But because like they kind of talk about, I don't know, the mother watching over them a little bit, like maybe there was just an extra little hand in there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. I felt like even though this book didn't have a whole lot of plot happening, there was so much that you get behind the scenes that I felt like it was so much information that I still missed the second time around.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
definitely just a lot in Nesta's head too, though. Oh, speaking of Nesta, her bargain with the cauldron at the very end, I didn't remember that being a formal bargain, but they talk about the tattoo.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to come back into play, because I don't think anybody has ever had a bargain with Cauldron.
Not that we know of. And there was more discussion earlier in this book, again, about how you can't break Fae bargains and there's no way to do it. And you die if you try to break it and whatever.
And what is the bargain?
Yeah. The bargain is that the bargain was that she would give up the Cauldron's power, would give it back if the Cauldron showed her how to save Farah.
Yeah.
But she didn't give all of it back because something else stopped her, or helped her, saved some power for her. So I don't know if that's why there's a bargain there. I don't know. I don't understand exactly what the bargain is.
I don't either, because wouldn't she already be either falling ill or dead or whatever happens when you break a bargain? Consequences that we still haven't seen.
Still haven't seen. It's been brought up so many times and we still haven't seen.
Yes. Oh, yes. I saw a theory on TikTok that we've talked about before, and how it looks similar to another series about fake mates. Did you still feel that way in this book with Lucian and...
Lucian just wasn't around enough, I think, for me to feel it one way or another. I don't know. Yeah. I definitely felt it in Frost and Starlight, but I don't think he was around enough.
Yeah. Absolutely, I can see that.
What about you?
I think because I was leaning less towards Asriel, it maybe fell a little bit lower on my my theories on what's going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. I read this book so much differently than I did the first time, and especially the relationship between Elaine and Asriel, I felt very differently this time. So I don't know. I just can't wait to learn more about Elaine. Yeah. yes. For sure. What else I got? Oh, on a more lighthearted note. Yeah. 186. Okay. I can't flip to so I can read it exactly. I died laughing. Oh, I love it.
It's after I don't know, Cassian and Nesta have had a little moment, right? And now they're at breakfast, I think it is. Yeah. And there's something, and she's like just reading, and he like comes in and is like, oh, so what you doing? And they're both just like awkwardly only thinking about sex, right? and so he's like, yeah, what you reading? And she goes, the book is about a book. I know. Cassian's like, interesting, sounds great. The book is about a book. I just died laughing.
Oh my gosh, like, cat's got your tongue.
I died laughing at that. That was
I also thought that was so funny. Yeah. All of their banter was so funny throughout this book. Also, I totally forgot. So I was probably 75-80% of the way through, and then we left for Minnesota, and so I pulled up my audiobook and I was listening to it in the car, and I took first shift, and so Gianni was sleeping in the passenger seat. Yes. He's sleeping, they're battling, they're doing all this stuff. He awakes, and Cassian goes, put your hands on the headboard and hold on. And I was like, I turned all red, and he goes, wow, you're just listening to some fairy corn over there, aren't you? And I was I swear you've missed all the battle scenes and everything. And it was detailed and graphic, and I was like, oh my God. I've never listened to that kind of stuff or read it in the same somebody. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it. I feel like that would be hilarious though.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It was.
Did he look embarrassed too or no?
No, he was just watching my reaction
Oh.
because I was embarrassed.
That's super funny.
I knew how spicy this book was, but it was fun coming back to it.
It was spicier than I remembered.
Oh,
yeah.
was it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Surprisingly, it wasn't as spicy as I thought it was going to be. And I think it's just because I've now read so much else that I was like, oh, this was like the first like big spicy book. And then I was like, oh, it was, what did Rick call it? Tastefully spicy or something.
Fair. No, that's totally fair. It was more just I forgot in comparison to the other ACOTAR books how different it was.
Oh,
So having just read the other ones, I was like, oh yeah, we got a few scenes. I mean, it's not that much, right? There's like 5 scenes, 6 scenes.
Yeah,
max,
I expected there to be more.
No,
the quality of them was perfect.
It was good. It was good. Go Cassian.
Go Cassian. And Nesta.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
man.
I love it.
Totally unrelated. But just because we are going to be going into Crescent City next.
Yes.
The Pegasus is Pegasi. Pegasus is. I don't even know. That Helion has. Totally didn't remember those at all.
No, me neither.
And yeah, they're like talking about how they're so rare and there's all these myths around them, and that Helion's 7 breeding pairs are the only ones left.
And Amarantha had killed a bunch of them.
Yeah, and they dwindled, and their population had dwindled further in the last thousands of years, and for no reasons that anyone can explain. And then it also says, according to legend, the Pegasus has come from the island where the prison sat upon, which I think know to be the 8th court.
Yeah.
Which we also then think is where Bryce's people, like the Fae that Bryce and everybody in Crescent City are from. And we'll talk about it in Crescent City, but I think that she's going to have a shifted form as a Pegasus is my guess.
Really?
We'll talk about it more when we get to Crescent City, but because of that, when I read that Pegasus has come from the island that the prison sat on.
Oh my gosh, that makes
sunk
me think.
in more for me.
Oh my gosh. That is so interesting.
Yes.
I mean, so yeah, I don't want to give anything for Crescent City away right now because I'm just starting to reread it.
Yeah.
But there are some things that are said in it that are like, clearly she has more power than she like thought she did.
Right.
But interesting.
Yeah. So just that's a seed to plant for the next book to pay attention to. But the fact that they come from there was just of note to me.
Very interesting. I feel like we have so much information in this book that I just totally did not catch. Oh my gosh. Did you notice when Cassian was talking about, like, they were all, I think it was when they were going to the, whatever party it was that Eris was there and Nesta was going to visit Eris.
Solstice. They did it solstice? At the, winter solstice, but at the Court of Nightmares, right? Wasn't it? Or no, it wasn't at the Court of Nightmares. Where was it?
I don't remember.
It was like somewhere else though.
Yeah. And they all showed up all dressed in Night Court black. And he said that Elaine, that it washed her out and that it just like really did not suit her. I was like, that's kind of another nod to her not being with Asriel.
It is. And I want to know if she feels the same way that Farah and Nesta have, because both of them in their respective books have made comments about how the human realm never felt like home. And other people have then talked about them also by saying that they never seemed like they belonged in the human realm.
Yep.
But no one has ever said that about Elaine.
I know.
And
Elaine hasn't said anything about kids. We don't know that much about her.
So I'm going to be curious if when we're in her point of view, if she also felt the same way, like she was destined to become Fae.
Yeah.
Or if she really is the one that doesn't belong.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so interesting. I liked Elaine's gift to Nesta as for solstice. The book credits.
Oh, that was cute.
I thought that was so sweet. And Asriel got her a gift.
Yeah, that was sweet too. Well, she was the one who got Asriel like a thoughtful gift last year too.
Yes.
So.
And so he got her the book light. And then we did remember what Cassian's gift was that he threw in the Sidra.
The book, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was a first edition.
Yeah, that was sad.
But I thought the music box was very, very sweet.
It was so thoughtful of just like spending all the time going everywhere to get that music recorded.
Oh, when she was like, well, how did you get it? How did you get the applause and everything out of it? Oh, I went back and had them play it for me.
My God. At first, when she's like, I'm not going to take this, I was like,
I was
bitch,
pissed.
you better take that.
I was so mad, and I didn't remember what was going to happen.
Same.
I was so mad.
Same. I'm glad that it got resolved like fairly quickly, because I was like, yeah, no, you are taking that and you are going to enjoy that.
Yes. Like, we are not doing this again.
Yeah.
Because every time he tries to like do something for her or give her something, she's like, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. It was like, oh my God. You do deserve it. You do. Oh, but I thought it was really, really sweet.
It was sweet.
Oh my gosh.
That's really all I got, I think. I don't know. You got some more in there too.
Yeah, I have the only thing that I had, and we kind of briefly talked about when Nesta goes to get the harp, and Lanthus says to her, which death god are you? Who are you beneath that flesh? And like, if she's still got a little bit of that in her, like, what is the cauldron? It makes me think of like, how did we have the other gods, the death gods?
Yeah, because he says, who, I had written down something from that too, and he says, whose fire burns silver in your gaze, which makes me think that she stole like a specific person or like a specific creature's power from the cauldron, that maybe the cauldron had stolen or something. Yeah, it's just interesting. So yeah, I had noted that too, that there was the way that he interacted with Nesta was unique.
It was.
I don't think we're going to know, I bet, until the next ACOTAR what all that means. But I did make note of that too, that there was a lot of conversations from the older beings of Nesta sticking out. Yeah,
which I think is kind of perfect. So was it Crescent City 1 came out and then Silver Flames came out?
Yep.
Okay. Because if you read it in that order, maybe you were kind of able to decipher it a little bit differently. Like, would you make more connections if you read it a certain way?
It's Crescent City 2 that makes the world connection, and that came out after Silver Flames.
Oh, was it? Mm-hmm. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Either way, it's going to be really interesting to know.
Mm-hmm. I know. I think everybody's ready for the first book with all of the crossover known.
Yes. Do we think that everybody's going to be in the crossover?
I don't know. I know. I think everybody's really hoping that we're going to see Aelin or something again.
I hope so bad.
I'm not sure yet. I don't know if it'll come in the first one or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, so she's, I think she has at least a few more books that she's already committed to with a publisher. So like, we know there's more coming. Yeah, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I've also seen people talk about that in some like interviews or something, that she's talked about like kind of being sad that the Throne of Glass world was done. So it makes me think that maybe she'd pull it back out. I don't know.
I hope so.
I don't know.
Because I was actually just having that thought too. Like, Throne of Glass is the only completed series.
Yep.
And so I would hope it got brought back, but I could see if it didn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'd be so sad. Did you also see that she has another series in the works?
No.
Yeah, so she's got, I think it's 4 books for another series that she's working on. And I can't remember from the interview if she said that it is related or isn't related, but she said that she is working on ACOTAR, the next book.
Yeah, I knew she was working on the next ACOTAR already. Yeah, I didn't know about the other ones. Yeah. I guess I'm curious if it's unrelated series or not.
Mm-hmm. It would be very interesting. Gosh, I feel like just after talking about this today, like when I go read Crescent City now, I'm going to be so excited to like try to pick out like all the different little things.
Right. I'm definitely going to read it so differently. I think I'm going to pay way more attention to when the Fae showed up in Crescent City.
And different objects. Because I feel like I always have a really hard time with like objects because I glaze over them and then I'm like, oh, they ended up being really important. And so objects, time frame of things, powers, and how they're associated with people. Yeah.
Also the gods, because I think that they talk a lot more about all of the old gods in Crescent City. Like they're trickled out, but I kind of remember there being more discussed there. So I'm curious, maybe then, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's so funny because both Throne of Glass and ACOTAR are kind of set in this like medieval time. And then Crescent City is just
Got
like
cell phones and high heels and clubbing and party drugs.
basketball shorts. Yeah, party trucks. Basketball shorts and backward hats and football.
Yeah. Sunball. Get it right.
Okay. Sunball.
Yeah, I'm excited though. I remember at first reading something that's more like urban fantasy.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I wasn't sure what I'd think, but I got over it pretty quickly.
Did you?
Yeah. The first time I read it, unpopular opinion, but I think that Crescent City was my favorite of the three.
Oh my gosh.
And maybe just because Bryce is a little bit older than the other
closer to our
characters.
age
Yeah. But I loved Crescent City.
Maybe
or Zootopia.
Oh my gosh. Zootopia. Oh my gosh. Maybe that's why I liked Silver Flame so much, is because Nesta is a little bit older and has more mature experiences. I'm wondering if Elaine is also going to have more mature experiences too.
Maybe. Yeah.
That would be awesome. That'd be cool. But yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. Yeah. So Crescent City 1 and 2 coming out pretty soon after this. We're going to have those in the works and have them out before Crescent City 3 comes out.
Oh, so exciting.
In the end of January.
And we're also gearing up for our January book club.
Yes.
Which is so exciting. I feel like since we're now out of the holidays just a little bit, it's going to be a really fun one.
Yeah, we'll have some more SJM theory stuff coming out of that, I'm sure.
Very exciting. Well,
awesome.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.